Hey guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. And in today's video, I'm going to run you through how to get unstuck with your fat loss. Now, I have gone from this to this and this to this, making all the mistakes that you can possibly make along the way. So I am doing this video so that you don't have to make the same mistakes. It doesn't have to take you as long as it took me, because I kept myself stuck for years and years and years. I could have made this progress so much quicker than I did if I hadn't made these mistakes. So let's get started. The first thing that I want you to realize before we go into anything, before we go into any methods, any techniques, anything like that, is to figure out what is actually stopping you. And this may feel a little bit uncomfortable, but ultimately the only thing actually stopping you is you. That is it. Harsh reality is the only thing that is stopping you is you. It's not motivation, it's not time, it's not any of these things, because with all of these things there are methods to overcome them. With all of these things you can actually integrate them into your journey and make it work for your journey. So the only thing actually stopping you is you. When you decide to make something mean something about you, or when you decide to make excuses, or when you decide to, try and be perfect and then throw the towel in when one thing doesn't go to plan, and ultimately it's you. And that may be a little bit kind of like hard to hear. And if you are sat there thinking like, but it's not me, it's this, that's the first thing you need to work on. You already know this. Do you know what I mean? If you weren't succeeding in any other area of your life, you would take responsibility for that. And the exact same goes with your fat loss. And I know that you can make a change. I know that you can. So first things first, one of the biggest things that actually stops you is this all or nothing mindset. This mindset, and this is something that I was stuck in for years, where we go, right, I'm going to go all in. I'm going to track my calories. I'm going to do my workouts. I'm going to do my steps. I'm going to do my cardio. I'm going to do X, Y, Z. I'm going to have enough sleep. I'm going to manage my stress. I'm going to drink loads of water. You do all of that and it's like, yeah, it's really, really good. It feels good. Like motivation's high. And then as soon as motivation starts to dwindle, or as soon as one thing comes up, one little hurdle, one little obstacle, whether that be a social occasion, whether it be, I don't know, you haven't taken your chicken out the freezer and you can't have your chicken for dinner, the tiniest little thing, you then go, oh my God, but I've messed up. Oh shit, like I can't do this, I can't do this. And it's very much black and white thinking. It's very much perfectionism. It's very much all or nothing. And this is actually the one thing sabotaging you. Because let's be honest, let's for argument's sake say you did have a meal out. And there's obviously methods to kind of manage that, but let's just say you didn't do that. Let's just say you went out and you had, I don't know, a massive pizza. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But in your mind, that's like, oh my God, but I've worked so hard and now I've just undone it all and I've just ruined it all and it's one big mess. So you then have two options. You can then go, oh my God, I've messed this up. Right, well, I can't do this anymore. So, right, I'm just going to carry on eating. I'm also going to have dessert. I'm also going to drink. I'm also going to, not make an effort to get my steps in later. And I'm just going to wait till Monday to get back on it. Or you can go, okay, yes, I've had a pizza, but look at what else I've done. Look at how far I've come. Look at what I have been doing. Look at what I am still doing. Like, am I going to stop doing what I need to do because I've had a pizza? No. Yeah, so you've got two options. Ultimately, you can go, fuck this, I'm throwing the towel in. Or you can go, do you know what? I know that this actually doesn't matter. Because these one things, these one occasions, these one meals, these little things, they do not impact your journey unless you let them. They do not impact your journey unless you decide that you are going to make that mean something about you and therefore let it impact your actions moving forward. They don't, okay? So all or nothing. So in terms of overcoming this mindset is generally, there is something kind of, it's maybe past experiences, it's maybe like a limiting belief, it's maybe, you've done it before and you failed. It could be, your like fear of failure. It could be your fear of like anything, like fear of being seen. It could be a fear of so many different things that is causing you to then kind of self-sabotage and, using the all or nothing mindset to do that. It could just be that because you want results really quickly, you feel like you need to be perfect. So all of these things just mean we have to change the way that you think about your journey. So rather than it being all or nothing, we have to think, okay, what do I actually want long term? Yeah, so long term, your goal is, let's say you want to be confident in the clothes that you wear. You want to be able to put on clothes, go out for food and feel so good, not looking down and like pinching your skin or looking at where it hugs you tightest. That's what you want. You want to be able to go out for food, enjoy a meal, not worry about what's in it, not worry about the calories, and not worry about how it's going to make you throw the towel in later on. You want to be able to actually just live your life without constantly thinking, am I going to look good in that? How am I going to feel in that? Like, how am I going to diet? How am I going to restrict? That's what you want. So then bring it back to that main goal. So when you then had that pizza and you're going, oh my God, I need to just give up. Is that giving up in alignment with your long-term goals? No, because your long-term goals are to have that pizza and to enjoy it and to then just carry on as normal. So that's what you have to practice. That's what you have to put into practice. And if you're sat there thinking, yeah, but what if fat loss is the goal? What if fat loss is the goal? If fat loss is the goal, one pizza isn't going to throw that off. But when you decide that that pizza means that you're already failing, so then you go and eat more and you don't do your steps and you don't manage your stress and you don't manage your sleep, that is then going to impact your fat loss. Yeah, so can you see where I'm coming from? So it's actually identifying like, okay, what is keeping you stuck? It is the all or nothing mindset. And the all or nothing mindset comes from trying to be perfect. For whatever reason, it comes from trying to be perfect. So what we have to do, like I said, is change that. So we have to go, right, again, let's home in on those long-term goals. Is the thing that you're willing to throw the towel in for, is that actually in alignment with your long-term goals? If you give up now, are you going to be happy with that? If you are not where you want to be in 6 months, are you going to be happy with being like, well, yeah, but I stopped doing what I needed to do because I wasn't perfect? Yeah? So it's looking at what is actually stopping you, looking at those long-term goals, and then reframing your mindset that you have. So currently, if you're in an all or nothing mindset, it's because you're in a perfectionism mindset. You're going, in order to see progress, I need to be perfect. And this is often the same reason that people will wait for the right time or wait until life is less busy. But the thing about all of these things is that this is not just your journey to a goal. This is your journey to the next chapter of your life. This is the journey to the rest of your life, because there are always going to be busy times. There are always going to be times where you've got social occasions. There are always going to be all of these things. And if you can't manage your goals and manage your life around these things now, you're never going to be able to. Yeah, so it's that need to be perfect. And it's the same reason, like I said, that people will wait for the right time, wait for a time where they can be perfect and be 100% and all of this. But that time just doesn't come. It just doesn't happen. And whilst you're waiting for that time, you're missing out on so many opportunities to build habits, build routines, build mindsets, and actually get to where you want to be. So how do we overcome this kind of like all or nothing mindset? The first thing that you have to do, like I said, is the perspective. The second thing you have to do is look at what is actually stopping you. The third thing is to always call yourself out. So if you're in a situation where you're going, right, I need to do this, okay, but I can't do that. It's about then going, right, but we're not going to focus on that. We're not going to focus on that one thing. I'm going to focus on the 3 things that I have done. I'm going to focus on what I am doing, and I'm going to focus on what I can do right now. I can't maybe go out and hit 10,000 steps right now, but do you know what I can do? I can go out and walk for 20 minutes, which is going to get me a lot closer to that 10,000 steps than if I sit on my bum feeling sorry for myself. And what you have to do with that is really train your brain to celebrate those wins and celebrate those positive moments and really be proud of yourself and focus on what you are doing and what you have done. Because the thing about our brains is they are always looking for evidence that something is true. So if you're going, I can't do this, I'm not good enough, I need to be perfect, etc., your brain is going to look for evidence that that is true. So it's going to look for all the times where you haven't done what you said you're going to do, all the times where you've tried to be perfect and it hasn't worked, or all the times where you've tried to be perfect and then things have gone off track and you can't be perfect. It's going to look for evidence that that is true. And of course, that's going to leave you feeling like shit. It's going to leave you deflated, leave you feeling unmotivated, and it's just not going to get you to where you want to be. But imagine now, instead of that, you go, right, what can I do right now? So let's just say, for argument's sake, right, you're going out for food tomorrow night. You don't know what the menu is. You don't know what's going to be on the menu. You don't know any of those things. And you're sat there thinking, shit, how do I manage this? How do I do it? How on earth do I do it? How do I still continue with my fat loss? Instead of going, oh my God, like we can't stick to that, we can't track those calories, we can't do this, what you have to do is go, right, what can I do? Okay, well, I can still get in a good high protein breakfast, a high protein lunch. I can still go and get some steps in. I can still drink lots of water, can still get to bed on time. I can still manage my stress. I can still take my supplements. And then it's about you literally going, but look at what I am doing. And almost celebrating that, like almost saying, like, literally say to yourself out loud, I am doing this because I am working on consistency. I am doing this because I'm focusing on getting 1% closer to my goal. Yeah, and honestly, when you look at things like that and you look at it in that positive light, your brain will then start to look for evidence that that is true. So it will look for evidence that you are doing what you say you're going to do. It'll look for evidence that you can do things you say you're going to do. It'll look for evidence that you can do one thing even if you can't do 3. And all of these things things are not only what kind of helps you break down that all or nothing mindset, but that's actually where you build self-confidence. That's where the confidence comes from. Confidence doesn't come from fat loss. Confidence comes from doing what you say you're going to do. Confidence comes from pushing out of your comfort zone, which is challenging your mindset, and doing the things you say you're going to do. Confidence comes from putting the work in and getting a result. That's also where you build your self-trust. That's also where you build discipline. It's where you build consistency. And it's where you no longer need to rely on motivation or willpower, because you build those habits and you build those routines that just keep you moving. So if ever you come to sabotage because you're like, what is going on? What am I doing? Like, I'm not getting anywhere, because this, I know this is the cycle you're stuck in, because this is what I was doing. I was going all in, doing the extremes, doing it for a week when motivation was high, and then I was feeling like shit. One thing would go off track and I would literally throw the towel in. I would sabotage, I'd make an absolute mess of things. And of course, then I was knocking my confidence, I was knocking my trust, I was knocking my self-belief, I was giving myself fears, and I wasn't getting anywhere. And then I was like, right, let's do it again. And I was just going through that cycle time and time again, because it was comfortable. Because although consciously all I wanted was to lose weight, subconsciously all my brain wanted to do was keep me safe. And being stuck in that cycle was safe. As much as it was shit, it was safe. And then I was like, right, let's go for consistency. Consistency, everyone bangs on about it, but the thing you've got to be careful of with consistency is that consistency is actual consistency, not consistency AKA, I'm gonna aim for perfection and call it consistency. Consistency is not, you know, when people say 80-20, consistency is not, I'm gonna be 100% for 80% of the time and I'm gonna do what I want for 20%. It's not. Consistency is, on some days, I'm gonna have 10% to give. But if I've got 10% to give, I'm gonna give that 10%. And I've given 100%. Some days you're gonna have 100% to give and you're gonna be able to do it. Consistency is, some days you are not gonna be able to do much other than maybe just get your steps in and eat some protein. But you do those things. You do those things rather than going, well, I can't do a workout. I can't do drinking my water. I can't get some sleep in. So therefore I'm not gonna do any of it. Consistency is going, but what can I do? And it is doing those things even when there are things you can't do. That is consistency. Consistency is pushing out of your comfort zone. Consistency is showing up even when you don't feel like it. Not 100% of the time, but majority of the time. Consistency is you're doing things more often than you're not doing them. And again, celebrate those things that you do, because that's gonna really, really rewire your mindset. It's gonna rewire your brain. It's gonna create that more positive mindset. So to become unstuck with fat loss, number one, we're gonna break down the all or nothing mindset. Number two, we're gonna focus on consistency, not perfection. But how do we actually put all of this into real life scenario? What I want you to do right now is I want you to write down your exact goals. Right? I want you to write down your exact goals so crystally clear that if I was to say to you, right, I'm going to give this to an actress and she's going to act this out, it would literally, you could be like, yeah, that's me. You could just explain it so crystally clear that she could go and just act it out. Yeah, that's how clear I want it. I want you to think of what are your goals, not just fat loss. I don't want to hear fat loss. I don't want, oh, I want fat loss. No. What do you actually want? Because you could wake up tomorrow, haven't achieved fat loss, and you're not going to feel any better because you've not done the things that it takes to get there. You've not built the confidence. You've not built the trust. You've not overcome those mindsets. You've not done any of those things. So what do you actually want? Do you want to be able to put a bikini on holiday and feel incredible and not look down at your rolls and, you know, kind of question yourself? Get really super clear on what you want. And then what I want you to think of is, okay, that version of me who has those goals, this version of me that I imagine when I envision me achieving all those goals, how does that version of me, who is she? How does she walk? How does she talk? How does she act? How does she react to stress? How does she respond to imperfections? How does she show up with consistency? And you can literally write all this down. You could be like, okay, well, that version of me that does all of that, she doesn't sit there and pick herself apart. If she feels like she is starting to kind of ever, you know, like criticize herself, she calls herself out and she lists 10 things that she loves about herself. You could be like, she meal preps. She meal preps every single Sunday. She plans her food for the week. She organises her food. She organises a food shop for a Friday. Literally get so bloody crystal clear that you can see exactly how you want your life to look. Because one of the biggest issues is that people will go, oh, I want fat loss. And then they go on a diet and they go all in and they give up. And then they knock their own confidence. They knock their own trust. And then they go, right, but I want fat loss. So they undereat again and they overtrain. And then one thing comes up, they fall off the wagon, and they never really get closer to that goal because it's not really a tangible goal. They don't know what it is. They don't know what they actually want. They don't know how they want to feel or anything like that. They don't know who they're becoming. So when you can then list all of those things, how you want your life to look, what the goals are going to be, how that version of you is, who she is, we then go, right, this is where I'm at now. This is where I want to be. How am I going to bridge that gap? Yeah, so a lot of the time, fat loss is going to be a byproduct, okay? So if you're like, right, I want to feel confident in a bikini, blah, 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 that's not going to come just from fat loss. That's going to come from, okay, actually, maybe I need to move my body. I need to build strength. I need to build fitness. I need to appreciate the way that my body moves to take the focus out of purely how it looks. And in doing that, you're going to change how it looks. You've got to sit there and go, right, well, actually, let's say I want to kind of go out for food and I want to feel really confident in my decisions and I want to be able to just eat freely and not stress about how it's going to impact me later on, right? Well, that's what you need to start then actioning. That's what you need to start doing, is going out for food, not starving yourself beforehand, having your day as normal, going out for food, coming home and going, I'm actually not going to just sit there and binge now because I've been out for food, but that doesn't mean anything about me. It doesn't mean I failed. Do you know what I mean? So you've really got to keep telling yourself these things. And this is something that I work with all my clients on, is reframing those mindsets, because as long as you are stuck in an all or nothing or perfectionism mindset, you're never going to be happy. You're never, because you're always going to feel like it's just not enough. So when you're clear on how that version of you looks, how she shows up, what she does, where you're at now and where she's at, what we can then do is go, right, what are the bridges? What are the bridges in these gaps? Like what are the gaps and how are we going to bridge these gaps? But rather than then going, okay, well, I want to move my body every single day. Okay, now I'm just going to suddenly start a workout every single day. No, we then want to build. So we want to go, right, this is me now. This is where I'm going. This is where I'm, getting to. This is the gap. Yeah, this is the gap. Okay, to bridge that gap, we're not just going to go and try and build the whole bloody bridge. We are literally going to build it brick by brick. So let's, for argument's sake, say that dream version of you, she moves her body 3 times a week because that's her time. It's her time for herself. It's her time to build fitness, build strength, do the whole shebang. You are not going to then go, right, I'm going to need to do 3 workouts a week. Let me just make room in my schedule. No, because we know that doesn't work. What you're going to do instead is go, right, I need to find 1 hour a week or half an hour a week, whatever works for you, to move my body. If it is a goal of yours, the future version of you, to be eating whole, high protein foods that make you feel really, really good, that fuel your body, that keep you satisfied, that give you, help you build a really positive relationship with food, that help you thrive in the gym, that help you thrive in life, that, help your brain, that, give you lots of energy. If that is the goal, we're not just going to suddenly go, right, I'm going to eat chicken and salad every single day. Right, I need to do this, and I need to, completely overhaul my diet and buy brand new things of everything. No, we're going to build it brick by brick, and we're going to go, right, I'm going to start off just by implementing a protein source into 80% of my meals, or I am going to start by implementing a meal structure. So making sure that in every meal I've got a portion of protein that's the size of my palm, portion of carbs that is the size of my fist, a big handful of nutrients, and a portion of healthy fats that is the size of my thumb. Or it could be, I'm going to just start doing a food shop once a week, a big food shop. So I'm not in and out of Tesco and just buying things that I feel like on the day. Do you see what I mean? So you have to build it up. So if you started off with the one protein source, or you started off with the planning of your meals, and then in 2 weeks' time, you add in a protein source into each meal, and then 2 weeks after that, then that's when you maybe start meal prepping, or 4 weeks after that, you start meal prepping. The idea is you have gone, right, this is my big goal. This is where I want to be. These are the gaps between where I am now. In every single area, this is where I want to be and this is where I'm trying to get to. So let's just say that's your lifestyle, that's your stress, that's your sleep, that's your food, that's your water intake, that's your movement, right? With all of these things, I can see what that gap is. So I need to build up to that. I'm not just going to jump, I need to build up. Same with water intake. If it is a goal of yours to drink more water for better skin, for hydration, so that you feel better, to help with digestion, to help with your bloating, you're not just going to go, right, I'm just going to suddenly start drinking 3 litres of water a day, because it's probably not realistic. You're going to instead go, okay, I'm going to add 1 water bottle a day, or I'm going to add in 500 millilitres of water a day, or I'm going to put a pint of water by my bed and I'm going to drink that in the morning. So I'm already ahead of the day. Do you see what I mean? So it's all about building it up. So that is literally what I would do. I would write down where you are now, where you want to be, who she is, identity, absolutely everything. And then you want to look at, right, in every single area of my life, in my social life, in my lifestyle, in my nutrition, nutrition, in my mindset. Where am I at now? Where is she? And what are the gaps? And then you can build that up. Yeah, so if, like I said, if you're currently just feeling lost with nutrition, you're just trying to eat as little as possible and then going into binging and all of that, but you're trying to get to that kind of like whole high protein, like good diet that makes you feel good, but you can also go and eat what you want. You can eat chocolate every day without it letting you spiral. How do you get to that gap? How do you get to that place? Yeah, so you can start off by, like I said, planning your meals. Then you can start off by adding a bit of protein into your food. Then you can, you know, be more organized with your food and maybe meal prepping. And, you know, it's really about kind of how you build all these things up. And obviously that is what I do kind of within coaching, but I think it's really important as well that you get a clear idea of what you want and how you want to get there as well, because like I always say to my clients, if it doesn't work for you, it's not going to work. So that is what we do. We make it work for every single individual client. Like every single client has different habits. They have different routines. They have different structures. Their roadmaps are completely different. Their goals are completely different. And as well, you really want to be patient with it. You want to be so patient. You have to appreciate that fat loss is not just an overnight thing. It does take a little while. And yes, you can go a little bit more extreme and you can get in and out of that fat loss phase, or you can take it a little bit longer and you can be a bit more kind of, you know, relaxed with it. And I think the approach that you take is very personal to you. If you are someone who's going to try and go, you know, like bit more restrictive for like less time, but you know that that's going to throw you off track in like 3 weeks, that's probably not the approach for you. If you're someone who knows that, like, for example, you're like, right, I need to calorie count, but you also know that calorie counting is actually just going to leave you feeling even more stuck in that all or nothing. If you know that you're going to go 50 calories over and then you're suddenly going to throw the towel in, that's probably not the approach for you. I've got clients who have lost more than 10 kg without tracking a single calorie. I've got clients who've lost 10 kg with tracking calories. It's very, very personal. The reason that you're stuck with fat loss is not that you're actually stuck, it's that you're keeping yourself stuck. So what I want you to do is I want you to figure out what is actually stopping you. Yeah, what is actually stopping you, mindset, yourself, your actions as a result of how you're feeling, etc., etc. Then I want you to think, right, realistically, I'm stuck in an all or nothing cycle, right? How do I break that? Okay, well, I need to break that cycle. I need to physically break it. If I know that I get back on track every Monday, I need to make sure that on a Monday, I actually don't go to those extremes, but rather I just carry on as normal. And I promise you, right, coming from someone who thought that if I gave myself allowance to just eat whatever I wanted all the time, I would just eat whatever I wanted all the time, I promise you it doesn't. The novelty wears off. When you actually give yourself the freedom to just eat whatever, you don't want it. But when you give yourself that, I need to restrict, you want everything. You need to look at what is causing you to sabotage. Why is it causing you to sabotage? How can you stop that? How can you call yourself out and celebrate your wins, or focus on what you can do, or focus on celebrating what you have done instead, to really reframe those mindsets and get you feeling good? How can you focus on consistency that's not actually perfection disguised as consistency? So it's instead going, right, do you know what, today I can't do this, but what I am going to do is this, this, this. You need to look at where you are now, where you want to be, what those gaps are in every single area, and little habits that you can implement to build that version of you. So little habits that you can implement to build those foundations and then build that version of you. Think of your journey like a house. If you were going to build a house, you're not just going to go, right, let's just throw the whole house up in one day. You're going to go, right, let's build those foundations. Then let's build the next layer and the next layer and the next layer. And your journey is exactly the same. If you are going, right, I'm here now, this is where I want to be, okay, we're just going to suddenly start doing everything that she does, that's not going to work. What you want to do is go, right, well, what is one step I can take? Do that continuously for a couple of weeks until it becomes more natural, and then I can build on that. So for example, your steps, can you add in 500 steps a day? Do that, you know, same, let's say your target is going to be now 5,000. Do 5,000 for a week, and then maybe add another 500. Go for 5,500. Maybe 2 weeks later, then you go, do you know what? I'm going to do 6,000. And all of a sudden then, within a month, you're now doing 6,000 steps when you were previously maybe doing less than 5,000. But it doesn't feel like a big jump because you've built it up. Yes, you really have to build those foundations and then build on them, because also that is where your consistency is built. It's where your confidence is built. It's where your self-trust is built. It's where your self-belief is built. We want those habits to, yes, stretch you and challenge you to a certain extent, but also make them manageable so that you can do them. You can build those foundations. You can feel good from doing them. And then also look at your methods of progress as well. Are you just relying on the scales, or are you relying on the scales? Are you also looking at your photos? Are you also referring back to those long-term goals of your relationship with food, your relationship with your body, you know, your confidence, your trust in yourself, your fitness levels, your strength? Like, You know, are you thinking about all those things? Like, are you looking at all areas of progress, or are you just focusing on the one that is going to make you sabotage the most? So that is how you are going to become unstuck with your fat loss. And it is essentially reframing mindset and actually making it work for you. That's what is required. And as a byproduct of doing those things, as a byproduct of making it work for you, building your habits, building your routines, you are also building a lifestyle that is going to allow you to maintain those things without stress, without constantly thinking about it, without feeling like you need to diet every 6 months because you've undone all of your progress. You've absolutely got this. If you've got any questions at all, please just pop them in the comments and I shall get back to you. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you found it helpful and I shall catch you in the next video.